First reading, a reading from the book of Sirach. Like the sun rising, so is the beauty of a good wife in a well-ordered home. Happy is the husband of a good wife. The number of his days will be doubled. A loyal wife rejoices her husband, and he will complete his years in peace. A good wife is a great blessing. She will be granted among the blessings of the man who fears the Lord. Whether rich or poor, his heart is glad, and at all times his face is cheerful. A wife's charm delights her husband, and her skill puts fat on his bones. A sensible and silent wife is a gift of the Lord, and there is nothing so precious as a disciplined soul. A modest wife adds charm to charm, and no balance can weigh the value of a chaste soul. Like the sun rising in the heights of the Lord, so is the beauty of a good wife in her well-ordered home. The word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. A reading from the first letter of St. Peter. Beloved, you wives, be submissive to your husbands, so that some, though they do not obey the word, may be won without a word by the behavior of their wives, when they see your reverent and chaste behavior. Let not yours be the outward adorning with braiding of hair, decoration of gold, and wearing of robes, but let it be the hidden person of the heart with the imperishable jewel of a gentle and quiet spirit, which in God's sight is very precious. So once the holy women who hoped in God used to adorn themselves and were submissive to their husbands, as Sarah obeyed Abraham, calling him Lord. And you are now her children if you do right and let nothing terrify you. Likewise, you husbands, live considerately with your wives, bestowing honor on the woman as the weaker sex, since you are joint heirs of the grace of life, in order that your prayers may not be hindered. Finally, all of you, have unity of spirit, sympathy, love of the brethren, a tender heart, and a humble mind. Do not return evil for evil, or reviling for reviling, but on the contrary bless, for to this you have been called, that you may obtain a blessing. The word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
God abides in us, and his love is perfected in us.
Proclamation of the good news according to John.
Glory to you, O Lord.
John chapter 2. At that time, there was a wedding at Cana in Galilee, and the mother of Jesus was there. Jesus was also invited to the wedding with his disciples. When the wine failed, the mother of Jesus said to him, "They have no wine." And Jesus said to her, "O woman, what is that to you or to me? My hour has not come." His mother said to the servants, "Do whatever he tells you." Now, 6 stone jars were standing there for the Jewish rites of purification, each holding 20 or 30 gallons. Jesus said to them, "Fill the jars with water." And they filled them up to the brim. He said to them, "Now draw out some and take to the steward of the feast." So they took it. When the steward of the feast tasted water, now become wine, and did not know where it came from, though the servants who drew the water knew, the steward of the feast called the bridegroom and said to him, "Every man serves good wine first, and when men have drunk freely, they pour wine. But you have kept the good wine until now." This is the first sign Jesus did at Cana in Galilee, and manifested his glory, and his disciples believed in him. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Today is a great day to be here to celebrate the greatest event in the life of these 2 young people. Today, a very young girl is deciding to marry a very young boy. Dulu winjo kaki wacho namane gidwaro. Kaki dwaro gidudore. Kaki dudore gikaore. Kaki kaore kuro gidwa kidu. Kene ni kami dwaro. Onege yudi. Kise yudo. Titi mamo. Kawe. Kise kawe. Dikede. That is why it is a very happy day today. And today people are asking themselves, and also asking you could also be asking yourself, why now and why not before? The answer is very simple. Now is the time of God. Before was the time of man. Kawuono e odiechieng Nyasaye moseketo mondo Lawrence kaachiel kod Lilian nyaka ne piny chakre mondo kawuono gikendre e yor sakramenti. That is why today in the Catholic Church you are being reminded that this is not just a wedding but a well-being. We are welding you. God is good. All the time. And we are welding you for life. For better, for worse. And how we need the support of each other. And when we looked at the readings of today, the readings of today are telling us three important things. One is the power of obedience. That what makes a wife good is not her jewelry, but her obedience and submission to her husband. Ni ber mar mam, oken study morwa, oken gik mang'eny morwa, to en luor kod chiwruok chutho ne chwore. That is what the first reading was talking about, and that is what St. Peter was talking about in the second reading. And that is what we are talking about today, that the wealth in marriage is enshrined and embodied in your ability to obey and submit. And the same readings are telling us that the handsomeness of a man is not his status, but his love and total sacrifice to his wife. Ni ber mar ng'ama dichuo ok en six packs. Ber ng'ama dichuo en chiwruok ne kod hera mar chiege. Kendo wawinjo kowach kawuono ni gik moko ariyo go ka un go, to kata bed ni uonge mwandu piny ni machal nade, kata bed ni ji neno ni dier, to ka un gi gik moko ariyo go, to un gi gik moko te, nikech mano e foundation ma Nyasaye gede. If you look at marriage in the mind of the Catholic Church is very clear about marriage. And according to the mind of the Catholic Church, the sacrament of marriage is a covenant. It is a covenant. What is a covenant? A divine union between God and the people. And that also yields into the second understanding of the Catholic Church of marriage as a sacrament. Niked and sacrament. Sacrament kaka nopuonjwa en ranyisi monen mane Ruodhwa Jesus Kristo timo mamiyowa nema e chunywa. That means, but why in marriage is the most important thing? And the why is being answered in divine way. That in giving yourself to each other, you become strong together. You grow together, you build together, you cry together, and you conquer together. And that is why today, one thing that you need to realize, that today God is not just giving you a husband, but He's giving you a king, and you are the crown of that king. Today, God is not just giving you a wife, but He's giving you a queen, and you are the crown of that queen. Treat each other. Treat your husband as a king.
chuori ruodhi manyaka ipaki. Sama ipako Yesu number one, wuoth mar ariyo manyaka ipaki en chuori. Tiende ni osimbo mar ng'ama mama en ang'o? En chuore. Osimbo mar baba en chiege. Osimbo nyaka riti, mane momiyo kuneno how people protect their power. They protect it with guns and everything possible. Why? Because the throne and the crown are things that when you lose, it becomes very difficult to regain it. And what is the problem of today's world? That many people have lost their thrones and crowns in marriage. And since they have lost it, people are just persevering, they are just coexisting together, they are just staying together. Ngarokangato korona Timothy Bennett. Kamuchopede ubrofweno. Nukatu bendi mwandu machalnara. Kakui. Kod hera. Kodak mabero ubi. Ujigote kurubi. That God may bless this covenant. And that God may bless this sacrament. And this sacrament needs three things, which I call the three C's of marriage. The first one is companionship. The best way to conquer the world is to make your spouse your best friend. Sometimes people are not companions to each other. But marriage, many people have become competitors in marriage instead of companions. Where now we look at who is earning more in this house. Who is more powerful in this house? Who has done a lot in this house? That does not count. In companionship, everything is because of the other person. And the other person is because of this one. Yesterday, you remember this great ruling that came, that even being a housewife is a what? Is a job, a full-time job. And the magistrate was trying to say, ni chakreki, chakreta ni kachiel bimara pa, nyakichung chini musara. God is good. All the time. What I want to say that in this companionship, external factors don't count. And if you want a happy marriage, always regard your spouse as the only reliable companion, and you will get the best. But when we go to law, rulings will be done, and things will not work. Other people, they want to know timoreka. Ile miel, timama. Katoka gito gile udike. Chengi wangeshi bekoro nieba. Kamu mudali udom gite. Nyasai. Kamu mudali udom jano. Keno ada udom tiare. Kamu mudali lokoro ni mana dia kijiko namoro no calores. Idiom ki. Deke chenma mawat dia de. Ngata chen ma nere to gitiare o maneno. This is a covenant that is being sealed. There is the invisible God in this marriage, but there are also two people that we are seeing to tell you that in this journey you will walk two by two, and in this journey be companions to each other. Sometimes I enjoy to see how couples walk. You find that different speeds. Ngatorete, ngatongoku, ngarochimoranade. But in marriage you walk together. And when you are walk together in companionship, then the second C of marriage comes into force. That is communication. And in communication, be a couple that is enshrined in the dialogue, particularly dialogue about God. Betulo jok maloso. Nikech kuse loso, ubro loso gikmoko e loso. These days, sometimes in marriage, and when we see all these things happening, the most underlying fact that is actually being starved of marriage is efficient communication and fruitful dialogue. Tinde gima nitiere ene ng'ato ka ng'ato wacho mare. Mane seche miwuoyo gi min nyithindo tiwinjo ni iwinja nyako. Nyasaye ber. Iwinjo wachno wuoyi. Iwinjo ok donj ma ok owinjo gi chunye kata iwach gang'o. Nyasaye ber. Wacho ni the easiest person to treat in this world is a man. And the easiest person to treat in this world is a woman. What they need is give them their blood and their care, and don't take it. Mio me nyithindo be the space also to grow. Tinde okena ena ni ngone kende. Mine be desa ni nya. Tinde kidie gym. Tinde kone mamen. Tinde sa nya. Mana momeo. We always talk in marriage. The mystery of the head and the neck. That the husband is the rightful head of that family, and the wife is the neck. When the neck is struggling and competing with the head, then you have what is called a neckless head. Yes, I bet. And when the head is struggling to compete with the neck, then you have a headless neck. And most of marriages are now like that. And those are the things sometimes we see in our media today, because we don't understand that people depend on each other and they actually need each other. Be a good head, not a big head. God is good. Some men are big heads. God is good. God is good. Ngeni mineno ka luenye umgio pure. Mana punya nyasa doa jadi tak banyak kalumi nyasa itu. Kau mau cak, mana setiap pokok-pokok nyinti doi, ini anak. Apa minggu aku? Ada nak cak. I am praying today that you may underscore the value of communication. That thing I want to talk about is concern. Ngamidago nyakabari. Ngamidago bini nyakidea. We live in a world where many people are very lonely in their marriages because everybody is focused on their own development. Don't leave your wife behind. Don't leave your husband behind. That is your wealth according to the second reading, because that is the foundation on which God builds everything. That is why today we are praying that you must develop that concern for each other. Concern means that you know both verbal and non-verbal communication. You know the feelings, the highs and the lows. Concern means that what is good for you is what you should give the other person, not what is bad. How you want to be treated is how you should treat the other person. That's why in marriage, it is not what you demand that counts, but what you command. Because what you command goes to the heart. That means, today when we talk about concern, you are two people. And one thing I want to tell you, you are two very big people. Marriage is not for strong people. It is for two weak people who decide to carry each other on their shoulders to cross many rivers of life. Maneno miyokungono wamiyokufumula mati. Baba beba bibi, bibi beba baba. Wawachnikunu baba beba bibi. Nyasaye ber. Kopa miyo kaki nguo wawachnikunu ber. Baba beba bibi. Then bibi, bibi beba baba. Baba beba bibi. Then bibi beba baba. Uneno kajo mauko kendo. Nemo wacho wachino kachacha. Joma oko kendo ni joma oko dikateto. Nake joma dikateto kuro penjini. Leto etingo machana. Nyasaye. Setete. Uneno kajo mauko kendo joma wacho wachino mateko joma kendo. You must be able to carry each other. I want to tell you as a priest, and God knows I am not lying. There is no strong man in this world, but men are strengthened by their wife. There is no strong woman in this world, but women are strengthened by their husbands. That is why the more you carry each other, the more you are going to cross the great rivers of life. It doesn't matter what you have. It doesn't matter what you want. If you don't carry each other, and you not only carry each other, how do you carry each other? You carry each other in prayer. It is very easy to pray for other people, but very, very difficult sometimes to pray for your spouse. But I want to tell you, when you don't pray for your spouse, what happens? The devil will use your spouse to bring you down. Now what is very fresh is the case of the doctor, the children, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The wife is still taken in, but I want to tell you, everything they work for, it is no longer theirs. That is why you see now relatives hovering like house flies. And what are the relatives talking about? The property of the doctor, this of the doctor. They are not talking about the life of these people. That is why carry each other in prayer. I conclude by saying there is a formula I always give on the day of a wedding like this. The formula is very simple. P divided by P plus P is equal to P. How can people P divided by P plus P is equal to P divided by P plus P is equal to P. The first P is problems. There is no marriage that does not have problems. But you can only divide your problem by your prayer. And when you add perseverance, then you get power. And we have powerful families, not because they never had problems, but because they discovered that the only way to handle problems in marriage is through prayer and perseverance. And that is why today, carry that formula. And remember it always. P divided by P plus P is equal to P. Problems divided by prayer plus perseverance is equal to power. And now we are also very happy today. Today we are not only celebrating this marriage. dia medoa. Ni aainya ni sanie wasada kumangen. Kuro kanga do semai. Uang yo dua ni calon nama dua iwa. Kikiwe nyawa dua doa. Njira jomo se wera doa. Kadang-kadang ni ukai. Jomano wera doa, mau wera doa. Ini yang nyawa cerita, tanya tu wajib mus. Ini mau wajib mati. Because in the next few minutes, that is what you are going to say. Ni aku tu wewe doa. Obedu watu marjuo, obedu watu margema, obedu watu margie, obedu watu marmuan, obedu watu maramo. Ibro here kelo mieluor, hera koluor. Now, as you are proceeding to the altar of God, you are not going to say that I will love you in wallet or in values, in water, yesterday. P plus P divided by P plus P is equal. Problems will come. Divide those problems with your prayers. Lemo emakeo chapter. Lemo emakeo te. The devil will use your spouse to destroy you. And many people have been destroyed by their spouses. Why? Because when you don't pray, you not for me, you think knocking at the ring. Manot tem katanya chen ni umuri ko yung gate. Obey ba? Manu bumi obey nyati. Manu bumi ko obey. It is not just a formula we are giving this family, but it's a formula we are giving all the families. You are as powerful as a family as your prayer, and that prayer will bring everything in life. Be a praying family. We wish you all the best. Now that you are very young girl, you are a young girl and a young boy, may you grow in grace, and we wish you all the best.